The Bible is a collection of religious texts that are considered sacred by Christians around the world. It is comprised of two main parts, the Old Testament and the New Testament, and contains a variety of books that were written over a period of several centuries. In this article, we will provide an overview of the history and origins of the Bible. The Old Testament, also known as the Hebrew Bible, is a collection of texts that were written primarily in Hebrew and Aramaic. The books of the Old Testament were written over a period of approximately 1,000 years, from the time of Moses, around 1400 BC, to the time of Ezra, around 400 BC. The Old Testament is comprised of several different types of literature, including history, poetry, prophecy, and wisdom literature. Some of the most well-known books in the Old Testament include Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Psalms, Proverbs, Isaiah, and Jeremiah. The New Testament is a collection of texts that were written in Greek and focuses primarily on the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. The books of the New Testament were written over a period of approximately 50 to 60 years, from around 50 AD to 110 AD. The New Testament is comprised of several different types of literature as well, including historical narrative, letters, and apocalyptic literature. Some of the most well-known books in the New Testament include the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, as well as the Acts of the Apostles, the Epistles of Paul, and the Book of Revelation. The Bible as a whole was compiled over a period of several centuries and underwent many changes before becoming the collection of texts that we have today. The process of canonization, or the official recognition of certain texts as being part of the Bible, took place over a period of several centuries. The canonization of the Old Testament was a gradual process that took place over several hundred years. The Hebrew Bible, as we know it today, was not officially canonized until the 1st century AD. During this time, the Jewish scholars known as the Masoretes worked to preserve and standardize the text of the Hebrew Bible. The canonization of the New Testament was also a gradual process that took place over several centuries. The early Christian Church recognized certain texts as being authoritative and eventually compiled them into a collection that became known as the New Testament. This process of canonization was not without controversy, however, and different Christian communities had different ideas about which texts should be included in the New Testament. The Bible has been translated into many different languages throughout history. The first translations of the Bible were made into Greek and Latin, and these translations became the standard versions of the Bible for many centuries. During the Reformation in the 16th century, the Bible was translated into many vernacular languages, including English, German, and French. These translations allowed people to read the Bible in their own language and helped to promote literacy and education. Today, the Bible has been translated into over 2,500 languages, making it the most translated book in the world. The most widely used English translation of the Bible is the King James Version, which was published in 1611 and has had a significant impact on English literature and culture. The Bible is a vast collection of stories and narratives that have shaped the religious and cultural history of the world. In this article, we will explore some of the most important stories and narratives found in the Bible, including the creation story, the life of Jesus, and the apocalypse. The story of creation, found in the book of Genesis in the Old Testament, tells the story of how God created the world and everything in it. The story begins with the famous line, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Over a period of 6 days, God created the light, the sky, the land and seas, plants and trees, the sun and the moon, animals, and finally, humans. On the 7th day, God rested. The creation story has been interpreted in many different ways by different religious traditions, but it is generally understood as a story about the power of God and the importance of stewardship of the natural world. The life of Jesus is the central narrative of the New Testament and is considered by Christians to be the most important story in the Bible. Jesus was born in Bethlehem to Mary and Joseph and grew up in Nazareth. He began his public ministry at the age of 30 and spent the next 3 years preaching, teaching, and performing miracles. Jesus' teachings emphasized love, compassion, and forgiveness, and he was widely regarded as a healer and miracle worker. He drew large crowds of followers, but he also made enemies among the religious leaders of his time. Ultimately, he was arrested, tried, and sentenced to death by crucifixion. According to Christian belief, Jesus' death and resurrection provide salvation for all humanity, and his teachings continue to inspire and guide Christians around the world. The apocalypse, or end of the world, is a common theme in the Bible, particularly in the book of Revelation. This book, written by the Apostle John, describes a series of visions he received while in exile on the island of Patmos. The visions depict a series of cataclysmic events that will occur before the end of the world, including wars, famines, plagues, and natural disasters. The book of Revelation also describes the return of Jesus Christ, who will come to judge the living and the dead and establish a new heaven and a new earth. The book is full of symbolism and has been interpreted in many different ways, but it is generally understood as a message of hope and faith in the face of adversity. The Bible is full of miraculous and extraordinary events that have captivated believers and non-believers alike for centuries. From healings and exorcisms to the parting of the Red Sea and the resurrection of Jesus, the Bible is filled with stories of supernatural occurrences. In this article, we will explore some of the most famous miracles and extraordinary events found in the Bible. One of the most famous miracles in the Bible is the parting of the Red Sea. According to the book of Exodus, Moses and the Israelites were fleeing Egypt when they came to the Red Sea. Pharaoh's army was in hot pursuit, and it seemed like there was no escape. But God performed a miracle and parted the waters, allowing the Israelites to cross on dry ground. When Pharaoh's army attempted to follow, the waters closed in on them, drowning them all. Jesus is known for his many healing miracles. He healed the sick, the blind, the deaf, and the paralyzed. He even raised the dead. One of his most famous healing miracles is the healing of the blind man. According to the Gospel of John, Jesus encountered a man who had been blind since birth. Jesus made mud with his saliva and put it on the man's eyes. He then told the man to wash in the pool of Siloam. When the man did as he was told, he was able to see for the first time in his life. The resurrection of Jesus is the central miracle of the Christian faith. According to the Gospels, Jesus was crucified and buried in a tomb. 3 days later, the tomb was found empty, and Jesus appeared to his disciples, alive and well. The resurrection of Jesus is considered by Christians to be proof of his divinity and his power over death. The plagues of Egypt are a series of extraordinary events that God inflicted on Egypt to convince Pharaoh to release the Israelites from slavery. The plagues included things like water turning to blood, frogs, lice, gnats, flies, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and the death of the firstborn. The plagues are seen as a demonstration of God's power and his commitment to protecting his people. Angels and demons play a significant role in the Bible, and their presence is often associated with God's power and judgment. In this article, we will analyze the descriptions and roles of angels and demons found in the Bible. Angels are spiritual beings created by God, and they serve as messengers and servants of God. They are described as having wings, and they often appear in the Bible as shining, radiant beings. Angels are mentioned throughout the Bible, from the book of Genesis to the book of Revelation. Some of the most famous angels in the Bible include Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael. Gabriel is known for announcing the birth of Jesus to Mary, while Michael is described as the archangel who fights against the forces of evil. Raphael, on the other hand, is mentioned in the book of Tobit, where he is said to have healed a man's blindness. Demons, also known as evil spirits, are described as beings that rebelled against God and were cast out of heaven. They are often associated with temptation, possession, and spiritual warfare. Demons are mentioned throughout the Bible, and their influence is felt in many of the stories and teachings found in the Bible. The most famous demon in the Bible is Satan, who is described as the ruler of the demons and the embodiment of evil. In the New Testament, Satan is depicted as a tempter who tries to lead people away from God. Other demons are also mentioned in the Bible, such as Legion, who possessed a man and caused him to act violently. In this video, we have explored the history, stories, miracles, and supernatural entities found in the Bible. It is a rich and complex text that has inspired countless people throughout history and continues to be a source of spiritual guidance and inspiration for many today. We hope that this video has provided you with a deeper understanding of the Bible and its teachings. If you found this content valuable and informative, we invite you to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos on related topics. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and engage with our content. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more informative and engaging content in the future.